Hello everyone, my name is Lucario. I am the active GM of the guild and community Legacy 30. Legacy 30 is global. We are both NA and EU. We have been around since 2021. We are the largest level 30 community in the world. Currently, this is also pretty much the only one. There is another one, but we will get to that one soon. I wouldn't really call them one, but we'll get to that. So we started off with an idea that I was having with a group of my friends about running Herald of the Titans, and I wanted to prolong playing level 30, mainly because I knew that you could do classic content from all the way from Molten Core to the Ruby Sanctum, so that's 21 raids. So it was very exciting. I wanted to do it. I wanted to have fun, take a break from max level, because I used to twink back in the day, and I figured why not? So while I'm at work, one of our friends decided to take my idea and make the guild, and he named it Twink Independence. Now, Twink Independence was a very bad name, had a double meaning. I won't go into specifics, but when I found out, I was very upset because, I wanted to be the one to make the guild. This was, my idea. I wanted to just kind of do it with my idea, And, it is what it is. So with me and everybody making the guild, we started recruiting people very slowly for Herald of the Titans, and everything pretty much changed when I was out in Duratar one day and I came across this man named Duty Hills. So with Duty Hills, he was an old school twink, level 30. He was a Resto Shaman. You may know him if you listen to the other episodes of the podcast. But Duty was an old school Resto Druid, Resto Shaman, I should say. And it was very mind-boggling to me because he had the legendary hammer Valnir, which you get from running Ulduar. It wasn't really something I had really considered at the time about having legendaries at 30, and it really kind of got me thinking about ideas of what to do. So I continued to push the whole, we have to practice for Algalon by completing other raids, because I just really wanted to prolong our experience at level 30. I was having a good time. I really enjoy the simplicity of it. Don't get me wrong, I actually really enjoy max level quite a bit. However, I'm really against how complex it is. I don't like how you do one spell, but it actually does 5 different other things. And to me, it's oversaturated, to say the least. So, yeah. But eventually we had enough people, and we completed Herald of the Titans, got the achievement, and I have never taken the title off my character ever since. I was very proud, and I wanted to continue. Now, a couple of my friends decided that they no longer wanted to continue with level 30 stuff, so they went back to max level. I remained, and I've remained ever since. I have never actually quit playing level 30. I've taken my break for 2 weeks fairly recently, but other than that, that was really about it. So over time, we started recruiting more and more people, and eventually Rose, the guy who created Twink Independence, he passed a leadership over to Duty Hills, so Duty became GM. I was a little upset about that. I'm not even gonna lie, because it should have went to me, because this was pretty much my baby. This was my idea. I felt like it rightfully should have belonged to me, and I had nothing against Duty personally. I think it should have just went to me. Let's just say that. Happy for him, because Duty did a great job. He had his faults. I mean, we all have our faults, but Duty did a good job for what we had starting off, and it was a good foundation stepping stone that I like to think of. I always like to think of me and Duty as the heart and soul of the community, and with Druid Man, I always looked at him as the brain. But we'll get to that. So during that beginning times, we started something called our dungeon tournament. We never had an official name or anything. It was just season 1 of the dungeon tournament, which consists of 2 teams of 5 players. We had 4 dungeons picked out, and then it was just a race to see who can complete each dungeon the quickest. And yeah, so our team did not win. Our team was called Carry the Hunter, because I was playing a marksman hunter, I believe, back then. Or maybe it was survival, but regardless, we lost pretty bad, which is crazy because we practiced quite a bit. It just wasn't good enough. And, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain, of course. it was a lot of fun. And with that, our continued efforts with the dungeon tournaments, they just evolved over time. We did something different each time, and then after the first attempt, we decided that teams of 3 was the way to go. And I've never looked back. Teams of 3 was pretty much the solid way. There was this one time where we had teams of 2, and that was terrible. We will never do that again. That was a very bad idea. So yeah. Eventually we met up with these people named Starship EU. Starship EU messaged us asking us if they could work with us for one of the tournaments we were going to have. I believe it was for season 5. And by that time, Duty had passed ownership over to me. So I became the GM and the community owner of our Discord. And I thought it was rightfully placed back where I wanted it to be. This is no sly at Duty, of course. This is where I think it should have always went. With me, I like to look at myself as like the king of the bracket, pretty much, because, I know I sound very egotistical, and I'm sorry, I really don't mean to come across that way. It's just, I'm very proud to say, I'm very proud of our community, and very proud of all of our achievements and everything that's come. So with Starship, it turned out to be a very successful tournament. My team actually went and did one of their tournaments just to get a good idea of what to expect. Very professional. I am absolutely blown away about how great they are, how professional they are. If you haven't checked out Starship EU, I suggest you check out their Twitch or their YouTube channel. It's very phenomenal. I'm very, very pleased, none to say, at the very least. But over these times, we've also ran Herald of the Titans many, many, many times to get everyone the achievement. We have never charged for it because our philosophy was if they enjoyed running with us, they may want to stick around and hang out. And that's actually turned out to be very true. We've had a lot of people stick around. Some people have left. They got their achievement. They were done. They were just like, thanks, and they dipped out. But other people decided to stay in the community, and they become regular people. We also raid on the weekends, so we would schedule different events for Saturdays or Sundays for a couple hours where, me and the boys would go in and we would take down Ragnaros or kill Onyxia or, just try to make our way to kill Jaden. I would love to talk about more of this with that stuff later on, of course, but, the raids never got boring for me. I know some people got tired of it because it was like the same thing over and over and over. But back in Shadowlands, whenever we first started, the raid content was very hard. It was like the best I feel like it's ever been. When Dragonflight came around, a lot of cool changes came, and it just became a lot more simple, to say at the very least. Like, the content was not difficult by any means anymore. So with that, the community felt a little bit weaker, at least with the raiding side of things. But with the tournaments and everything was great. With the community halls we'd have, everything was great. People hanging out, people getting to know each other, people making friends. Everything's been phenomenal. Everything's been very rock solid with that. So I'm very happy with that. I've made a lot of cool friends here over the time. Another thing that happened was we had a lot of people joining our Discord that were from the EU, which makes me feel bad because they could never play with us. And, it's just kind of bummed out whenever you join a community and you're wanting to play, but you can't because you're overseas. And eventually we had the bright idea of like, hey, why not make an EU section? So we did. We had an EU section. And I met this nice gentleman named Sosta, and I felt like Sosta would have been a nice match, so I asked him if he wanted to lead it. Which, honestly, any one of them could have did it at any point, but, I felt like Sosta would be a good figurehead for the Discord. And Sosta's been a very loyal, very nice, very pleasant person to work with. Whenever we have tournaments or events and the EU side wins, he's always been more than willing to, assist with the prizes on that end. It's been pretty nice. I feel bad that the EU wins quite a bit because EU players do not play around. So Sosta, if you're listening, I do apologize, my dude. But yeah, I am very pleased with meeting him, and their community is slowly growing. So overall, we have over 1,000 members, which is crazy because it's taken over 3 years to get to where we're at. I actually made a statement, I think in November, that my goal for the community was to hit 1,000 people by the end of 2025. We were at like 800 people by then. So in a matter of 2 months, we gained over 200 people. We started growing like crazy. We've also been featured on Raider.io, and during some of our tournaments, we've also had Blizzard official prizes. Blizzard has actually been involved with some of our stuff, which is just crazy to me. It is absolutely phenomenal. I'm very, very pleased and very happy about that. It's a nice little bragging right, you know? Like, hey, Blizzard's actually paying attention to our twinking stuff. I don't even know if Blizzard actually ever does anything with twinks. As far as I'm aware, they don't. I'm pretty sure they don't anyways. I've never heard of it, but it is still something that I think is really cool. So yeah. So eventually we had something called progression, which was we're going to start off with lower item level gear, and we will basically only obtain gear on that character through the rating. So it was a cool idea. A lot of people were excited for it. There's a lot of hype for it. It kind of fell apart though because we weren't really set on the rules per se. We kept changing the rules. We had a set of rules, and then certain people didn't want to follow the rules that we made for it because it was inconvenience on them, and then we kept changing stuff over time, and then eventually everything just fell apart. And we've tried to bring it back 2 separate times. One time was just us pitching an idea, or I'm sorry, I pitched an idea, and it worked for like a whole 2 weeks, I think. Another time was this other group of people who were doing 30 content were interested in running some progression style playstyle. And I said, well, why not join our community, and I will make a separate thing for you, and you can use some of our guys, because I know some of our guys would like to do it again as well. And they were more than happy to do it, and they did for about 2 or 3 weeks until Blizzard decided to relaunch Classic WoW again. So that fell apart very quickly. It was very sad, but it is what it is, of course. Oh, we've had another progression too. I forgot about that. There was another group of people. Apparently this happens quite a bit. I kind of forgot all about that. We had these hardcore Mythic players wanted to come basically do some twink progression rating, and I let them join, and yeah, well, that fell apart too. It was just, they had some very wonky rules as well, and it got to the point where just they weren't having the numbers for it because, I don't know, if I remember correctly, they were all just playing Alliance, and it was very hard because a lot of us were Horde at the time. But now we can do the cross-faction stuff, so it's not really a big issue. But, you know, it is what it is, of course. We've evolved quite a bit past that, of course. Thankfully, I suppose. And we actually gotten to the point now where, see, this is going to be the controversial part, and I'm not trying to drag anybody, but I do have very strong negative feelings towards this community, and it's mainly because of their GM. I don't really care about the other people in the community. I'm sure there's a lot of nice people, but there is a GM of a guild called Golden Twinkies, and I have not been a fan of this guild ever, I think. What they used to do, and they still do this, but how it all started was when Duty was the GM, he would post a recruitment on XP Off, because XP Off made the 30 section just for Legacy 30, because we were a growing twink community, and why not? So with them doing that, we would post a recruitment, and then this person named Life would show up, and then Life would go ahead and post their recruitment right underneath ours, pushing ours out of the way. So with doing that, it became very clear that they were trying to basically poach and take the entire, player base that would join the 30 bracket. Of course, you're allowed to do that, but it is incredibly dickish, and I am not a fan of it, especially when I confront this person and they basically just pretend that they don't know what I'm talking about. But you can look at the timestamps, and I'd post something at 10:48 and they'd post something at 10:49. And our recruitment was very simple, like, hi, if you guys want to join a 30 twink community, this is what you do. We raid every week. Theirs would be like a chapter from a Harry Potter book. The recruitment is so obnoxiously large, and it's an eyesore. And then they would put their own emojis on there as a reaction that nobody else cared about, which is honestly, to me, I feel like that's kind of embarrassing. I'd be so embarrassed if I did that and nobody else liked what I had posted. But I mean, I'm not life, and I'm sure life has no shame at all, because very clearly they have no shame. So I mean, it is what it is, right? But life would do that. So I eventually confronted this person and was just like, hey, you're kind of like stealing from us, right? Again, like, people are allowed to have their other communities in the bracket. That's fine. I just kind of pointed out that this bracket is a small town, and you're trying to bring a second Walmart to the small town. There's not enough player base in this bracket, which is absolutely true, because this bracket before, we started this shit was just basically Herald of the Titans. There was nothing else really to it. You just ran 30 to do Herald of the Titans, and then you went back on your day. Like, it was over, like, no point. But we've crafted it. We've done so much for the entire Twink community, for the 30s. We've made very interesting progress. We've done amazing things. And to me, it's very infuriating when someone comes in and sees that we have world first on raids or all of our accomplishments, and then they just decide, hey, I'm going to do that too, but pretend like you never did it. Which was something that I wasn't very happy about, obviously. So I would get mad and confront this person, and then they would literally just delete my messages. So everything that I said is apparently, it's just gone. And you can just see what they say, because they are a moderator on the Discord XP off. And you can't do nothing about it. Unfortunately, it is very stupid, very frustrating. It makes me very angry, but I'm sure that's exactly what they want. Look at me talking about drama for twinking. It's like another thing, because I've been very proud of us for never being toxic. We have been absolutely zero toxicity, apart from like when we tried to do PvP one time, because there is no PvP at 30. But we decided, hey, let's try it. And a bunch of tryhards came in, and they just can't accept the fact that they get killed by a hunter in like a 30 war game. So, hey, that person playing the hunter is the worst person who's ever existed ever. They're literally worse than Hitler. It's very dumb. But life successfully made me very toxic when it came to this whole Golden Twinkies thing. And again, I don't care if they have their community, but it is very disingenuous whenever you come in and claim you got world first when we've had the world first for a couple years now. I've literally told this person there is not a single thing you can do in this bracket at this given time that we haven't already done multiple times. But, logically it would just sink in with somebody and be like, oh, fuck, maybe you're right. But it just went in one ear and out the other, and they continue to still post, world first. Their new recruitment now is just basically saying, oh, well, we're going to make the 30 bracket the premier rating bracket, which it already is, because we've been doing this since Shadowlands. We've already had it become the premier rating bracket. Maybe there is another community at another level that does the raid content. I personally do not know, and I do not believe that there is. I've never heard of them, and I've looked around. Could they possibly be out there? They could. I'm not going to say that they don't exist, but I don't think that they exist, personally. But it's just very annoying when somebody comes in and tries to pretend that we don't exist when we've literally paved the way for anybody that wants to do this bracket, this content. It's very disgusting, and I'm very not happy about it. I've had some people want to just tell me to just stop talking about this, because it's not really positive, and we usually try to stay positive. But I've also had an astronomical amount of people come in to complain about this person and their community to me directly. Because one thing that this person likes to do is try to get them to quit my community and go over and join theirs, which they never do, which is very funny to me. I haven't actually met anybody that's not in that guild that actually likes them. It's just very interesting to me. I don't know. And it's even to the point where you can't even argue with them. They are allowed to provoke and start drama on the Discord of XP Off, but you can't retaliate and say nothing back, or you get silenced. And that's exactly what happened to me. I got silenced until I finally lost my cool, and I kind of went on a little rampage, and then they eventually banned me from XP Off, which is fine, because I don't really care personally. I only used XP off to basically promote our guild. I don't really care about the other twink brackets too much. Maybe 20s just to actually do some PvP, but I don't know. Other than that, I couldn't care less about the 35 because nobody's going to play 35s. Like, once you get to level 30 rating, everything else after this just becomes obsolete, because if you're in the 35 bracket, that's up for Mist of Pandaria. And when you're doing Mist of Pandaria, the only raid that's really going to be relevant for you for gear is going to be Siege of Orgrimmar. Same with Cataclysm, it's just going to be Dragon Soul. At least in the 30 bracket, every other raid does have some relevant pieces of gear. So you can get very creative with how you want to approach and gear your character. But when it comes to the other raid brackets, it's really not like that at all. And that was something else that I thought was really funny, because Life would sit there and try to recruit like 40 people for Molten Core. I guess not realizing that you can actually two-man Molten Core. One of my officers decided to post a video of him soloing Molten Core on a Hunter, which is just the biggest LOL I think I've ever seen. It's so funny. But it was also like really cool back when we took down the Lich King the first time on Heroic. Duty, back when he was GM, he actually went out of his way for the 10 people who successfully were involved in killing the Lich King to buy them t-shirts. Legacy 30 t-shirt, official t-shirt. It's like our first merch, you know? And he mailed the t-shirts out. I actually have my t-shirt, and I'm very proud of it. I don't wear it, of course. I want to frame it personally because it's like a nice little memory, and it's a nice little memento that I'm always going to keep. So, like, whenever I reflect on this community in the future, in case WoW ever gets shut down, or we all get tired of this, or it all falls apart, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the meteor can come down to take us all out. But it'll always be something that I can remember and be like, oh yeah, I remember. I was part of the greatest community in the game. Maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. Who knows? I'm very, like I said, I'm very pleased and very happy with everything. I could not ask for a better community. I played this game for many, many years. It's going on 20 years now. And I've never had more fun with a group of friends, a group of people that I've met online than I have with this community. We have our highs, we have our downs, we have our lows, we have our fails, we have our successes. But there's something that I'll never forget, and that is the Legacy 30 brand. It has been incredible. We've even had people who don't even join our community talk so highly of us just for the fact that they say that we've done a lot for the twinking community, a lot for the twinking bracket. It makes me very happy. It makes me very pleased. Even the time walking guys, like, I really enjoyed the time walking guys, because whenever time walking fell apart a couple months back, they came over here. They've been a part of some of our tournaments. They've been very helpful with their source of knowledge. I'm very grateful, very appreciative of that. They can sound a little rude at times, but maybe it's just a difference in culture from EU to NA, because we talk obviously different out here. But nonetheless, I've been very grateful with, you know, the work that they've done to help us, and just answering questions, whether it sounds nice or not. It is what it is, you know. Like, we all can act like assholes at times, so I'm not going to fault somebody for sounding like one on the internet, because if it's gotten to the point now in 2025, if you don't say LOL at the end of a sentence, you just sound like you're being mean. And I get that, I understand that, so it is what it is, you know. So yeah. Unfortunately, Duty is no longer with us. This is the second time he has basically abandoned ship. I'm very personally hurt by that, because I wanted him to come back, and I'm glad he did come back for however long he did, or however long he was. I had this bright idea of making him and the Druid Man. Everyone knows Duty and the Druid Man. They're pretty much like rock stars in this bracket. But I had this great idea of making them also GM, so there was going to be the 3 GMs, and then Sasta would be GM of the EU community. But we were kind of like a council. We were all going to decide and work together on, like, you know, improving the bracket, improving the community, improving the guild. And what it just really came down to was ego. Ego's the fault. Pride is the fall of man. We all know that. Duty wanted to change a lot of stuff that we had already had done, already had established. He wasn't happy with some of the stuff that, you know, I've changed over time. And I mean, I can get it because it wasn't like how he had it. But the thing is, if you want to continue thriving, you have to evolve. It is a necessary evil. You have to do it. You can't remain the same and continue to grow and continue to expand. It's just not feasible in the long terms of things. And if I want this to continue growing and want this to continue thriving and having more people join, we can't stay the way we were. It's just a necessary thing. So understandably, he wasn't very happy about it. And then he did try to basically, I'm not going to say it in the mean way, but he was trying to convince me to pass leadership over. Because in his own words, it wasn't fair that I had leadership of the community and, the Discord. Which, in a way, it doesn't make sense because it was never an issue whenever he had it. But whenever I have it, it's suddenly not right. Because, again, it just comes back to ego. And Duty is very egotistical and doesn't seem to realize how bad it is. I'm more of like a mellow, I try to keep a decent neutral approach to almost everything, especially in my life and my game. This is why I never really have issues with people, unless you try to poach my community, of course, and then that's completely different, of course. But my god, the Golden Twinkie stuff, it is the biggest headache. They even stole our podcast idea. I was literally going to make a podcast last year called Warforged because we were spending so much time in the WoD dungeons farming Warforged gear. And I joked around and pitched the idea that, hey, maybe I should start a podcast and call it the Warforged, the Warcraft podcast. And I just never got around to it. And then Duty comes in a couple months ago and wants to start one called TotemCast. And, well, actually, I think I actually named it TotemCast. Funny, I'm always pitching ideas. It's crazy. He wanted to have a podcast. Yeah, that's how it went. He was asking for a podcast, and he was asking me, like, ideas for names or whatnot. And I think I said TotemCast because he played a shaman. And, this is how the podcast started, pretty much. It was pretty cool. I thought he did a really good job. I liked his episodes. I liked his interviews. And, I'm probably going to carry on that legacy. The Legacy 30. It's too much legacy. I will continue that, of course. I have a lot of questions on a lot of stuff I'd like to say to random people in the Discord. There's a lot of interesting people here. There's a lot of, I'd like to think of 30 rock stars. Like Blackberry is one of them, for instance. I think Blackberry is a very interesting person. He's been around for a very long time. He's a very big source of knowledge when it comes to everything with the bracket, especially rogues. If there's any questions about a rogue, I will deliberately go out of my way to want to hear his opinion or his input on it over anyone else's, even if somebody that's actively playing rogue. Because Blackberry is, when you think of him, I'm thinking of rogue instantly. So, but he's already had his interview. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some stuff I could ask him too. We can always go there. He's been around for a long time, so. I mean, I've twinked back in the day a couple times as well, but I never stayed on it like a lot of people have. I kind of just migrated back to max level. And it's funny how times change, because now I'm back on 30, and I can't really go to the max level. And it's interesting because, max level has the hero classes, and it's just very interesting what they've done, and I'm very happy with the way Blizzard's approached it. However, I also very much like the simplicity and the simple nature of, being that level 30 and having half your talents. Makes it really interesting how you have to, spec a character and how you want to gear your character. I mean, we even have gearing guides for 30 for all classes, all specs. The Druid Man has done a phenomenal job working very hard. I believe the Time Walking community has helped him as well. He's done a lot of theory crafting. I'm very, very pleased and just dropped something. I'm very pleased with the amount of work that he's done. I will forever be very grateful for him for doing so. He's not as active as he was anymore. He just started a new job, I believe, so he's going to be a little MIA for a little bit, but he'll be back. That's the one good thing about being level 30. You always come back. Or at least twinking anyways, but But yeah, if you're listening to this, I am very thankful for you, and I'm glad you are a part of the community. If you would like to join our community, the link to the Discord will be down below. And I will be keeping TotemCast going alive. I don't know if I'm going to upload weekly or not. There's other things I know that we can talk about. I did consider just renaming the podcast or just starting a new one, but I do want it to continue. And I don't know if I'm going to put my face on here or one of my members is throwing stuff at me right now. How funny is that? I don't know if I'm going to continue posting video of it, or if I'm just going to have the logo, or have my face on this. I don't know what we're going to do, because I don't really care about putting my face on there, mainly because I feel like it will distract from this being a podcast. So anyways, this is Lucario. If you're listening, thank you very much for making it this far. Please leave a like on the video, and I will see everybody in the next one. Peace.